What's up, guys? Hope you're all doing great. Got another video for you today that I've been working on for a while. I hope you find it fun and entertaining and interesting, because I know I do. I love baseball trivia, I love facts, I love all kinds of interesting tidbits about baseball over the years. So I might end up doing a series like this. You can just let me know in the comments if you like this kind of stuff. But I just like doing it. I like doing it myself, so I figured I would just do it in video form. But facts and trivia and stuff about baseball just really fun to me. So if you like it, I might turn it into a series, occasionally do an episode like this where we look at some baseball facts and trivia and some cards and some interesting players and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to look at some cool photos and facts and trivia first, and then we will look at some cards of some guys that are super interesting that you may have not ever heard of. So this will be fun. But we'll start out with this one. This is a photo of Nolan Ryan and Harvey Haddix in 1966. Okay, so I saw this photo and something jumped out at me immediately. Now, it may not jump out at you. I'm just giving you a second to see if it does. But and it's so cool because Mookie Chilson knows everything. And when it comes to the Mets, Mookie Chilson really knows everything. And I got him on this one. He did not know this one. But that Nolan Ryan there, I noticed immediately, it's 34 and not 30. So in 1966, when he came up, he wore 34 before he went down for 67 and came up with number 30 in 68. So that is super cool. He had 34 with the Mets. Did not know that until I saw that picture from 1966. So that was really cool. Next up, who do you think has a bigger WAR? Ichiro Suzuki or Kenny Lofton? Further proof why I don't like the baseball writers. But here you go. Kenny Lofton is almost better at everything than Ichiro Suzuki. He had a 68.4 WAR. Just didn't play as long. 60 WAR for Ichiro. More homers, more RBI, way more stolen bases. Almost batted 300 there. But on base slugging, OPS, OPS plus, all that kind of stuff, he was right there or ahead. But 68.4 WAR, if you're a WAR guy, Kenny Lofton is better than Ichiro. And look up here. Ichiro missed one vote. He got 99.7% of the vote. Kenny Lofton got 3.2% of the vote. He's got gold gloves coming out the wazoo on top of all this. Yeah, cannot stand the baseball writers. There have only been two players in the history of Major League Baseball with the last name of Moyer. Ed Moyer died on November 18th, 1962. Jamie Moyer was born November 18th, 1962. Some things can just not be explained. The 10 best single seasons in baseball history. You got Barry on 3 of them. You got Hornsby. You got Gehrig. And all the rest is Ruth. The first 4 are Ruth. If anybody thinks anybody's as good as Ruth, and all this Ohtani talk and everything else, Babe Ruth is in a league of his own. No doubt about it. Speaking of baseball writers and all that kind of stuff, out of the 20,000 Major League players that have played thus far, 4 have had 400 homers and 10 gold gloves. Can you name them? 400 homers and 10 gold gloves. There's only 4 people out of everybody. All the great stars that you can think of and that you love, there's only 4 of them. Ken Griffey Jr., Willie Mays, Mike Schmidt. You might have got those, all Hall of Famers. The last one, Andrew Jones. Not getting Hall of Fame votes. Yeah, he was sick. Barry Lamar Bonds, say what you will. All of those clubs, 400, 400, 500, 400, 600, 400, 700, 400, 300, 500, 400, 500, 500, 500, 600, 500, 700, 500. He's the only member in the history of baseball in any of those clubs. Yeah, he was he was good. This is super interesting. Ted Williams was John Glenn's wingman in the Korean War. Williams flew 39 combat missions in Korea, and about half of them with John Glenn. And you know what John Glenn went on to do. And that's a picture of both of them. Super, super cool. George Wright, professional baseball's first superstar. Right there. 1847 is when he was born. But look at that hair. But that is your first professional baseball superstar. There are only 2 members of the 300 homer, 400 stolen base club. We've already seen one of them. Who is the other member besides Barry Bonds of the 300 homer, 400 stolen base club? 20,000 major leaguers, only 2 people have done it. Father and son. Only 2 people have done it. Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonds. That's it. And that is super cool. The average Hall of Famer WAR is 69. The average Hall of Famer WAR is 69. Before steroids, how much do you think Barry Bonds had before all of that craziness with the video game stats that pushed him way up the WAR ladder? So the average Hall of Famer, 69 WAR. Barry Lamar Bonds, 111.4 WAR before the steroid years. And he's not in the Hall of Fame. Roberto Clemente is the only player in history to hit a walk-off inside the park grand slam home run. All of the millions of times people have been up to bat, that's only happened once, and it was Roberto Clemente. And we all know this, but not in the Hall of Fame. MLB leader in home runs, hits, games, at-bats, MVP awards, and Cy Youngs. They aren't in the Hall of Fame. Here's a cool one. Ted Williams, everybody knows how particular he was about his bats, and he could tell the difference between a half an ounce or anything when he was holding a piece of wood. So this shows him in the Louisville Slugger factory, and he would go hand pick his own billets that they would make his bats out of. So that is a super cool photo right there. Nolan Ryan, greatest pitcher ever. 198 career non-win quality starts. He was 0-107 with a 2.27 ERA. 2.27 ERA in 198 starts. He would have 450 wins if he'd played for decent teams, if he wasn't a family man and stayed home playing with crappy teams to be close to his kids. 198 non-win quality starts because of the teams he played for. Here is Mickey Mantle getting advice from Ty Cobb. That's just a really cool shot. I would love to know that full conversation right there. This one's cool, and this wouldn't happen today, but the Big Red Machine had the big basketball machine. Pete Rose came up with the idea after 1969, and you can see him and Bench and the boys. They would play other teams and other players and different types of opponents, college teams, semi-pro teams, for charity, to get some charity money. And that was Pete Rose's idea, to get to the charity. There's only one player in history that has had 7 straight seasons of 20 plus homers, 100 RBI, 100 walks, and 300 average. Only one player in history. Can you name him? If you said the Big Hurt Frank Thomas, then you would be correct. Frank Thomas, the only player, 20, 100, 100, and 300, 7 years in a row. Only one. My beloved Astrodome, it's just talking about how the 642-foot roof had 4,596 skylights. They were clear when they opened it because they had real grass. But The lucite panels had to be painted because the glare was so bad no one could catch a pop-up. So of course they painted them, and of course the grass died, and they had to invent AstroTurf. Here's one, 1999 Hall of Famers class. Shout out to Dylan. We got Robin Yount with his rookie card blown up on the left. Nolan and Brett. Of course, Nolan, they give him the second year because he's got his picture by himself there. Super cool. It's a baseball card channel. We got the 3 1999 Hall of Famers with their cards. I just thought it was a super cool shot. Just love that. It's got their percentages there, but who cares with those guys? Al Smith is about to eat it, man. Look at that. At game 2 of the World Series, there's a beer up on the wall. He's just about to look up, and that beer is getting knocked off right in his face. I just thought that was an awesome shot. Just love it. Here's one for Mookie Chilson and Sammy Thunder. A fan grabbing Willie Mays after they clinched the pennant. Now, I'm sure Mookie will tell us what year this is exactly. But they scuffled, this fan trying to get a glove or a hat away from him. It is said that Mays wrestled him to the ground and got away. Of course, being the superior athlete to this chump right there. But interesting stuff, how things were then and how they are now. There's only one true Brave that has been a member of the Boston Braves, the Milwaukee Braves, and the Atlanta Braves. Interestingly enough, it's one of the greats. But only one player to play for all 3 of those teams, none other than Eddie Matthews. I think that's super cool. That is a super cool stat there. Speaking of WAR, everybody these days, of course, loving Trout and Betts and the like. Willie Mays was really good. Willie Mays WAR, 156.2. You combine Trout and Betts, it's 155. Mays was insane. Now, of course, these guys haven't closed the book on their careers yet, but it just shows you how impressive Willie Mays is when you combine those guys and they don't even reach him. Here's an interesting one. 1975, when I was born, Nolan Ryan reading a script for Ryan's Hope, the soap opera. And if you get a chance to go watch that clip on YouTube, don't. Nolan is the greatest pitcher. He is not the greatest actor. But you're going to be curious. You're probably going to go watch it. It is not good. But back in 75, it probably looked a little better than it does now. But still, not good. But he's reading in the dugout for his bit part on Ryan's Hope. Nolan Ryan, of course. Here's a quote. Mickey Mantle. If I played my career hitting singles like Pete, I'd wear a dress. Mickey and Pete right there. That was the Mick right there. This is an interesting graphic right here. Hits by the 3,000 hit club through age 26. Ty Cobb already had 1,600 hits by age 26. He was head and shoulders above everybody else. Al Kaline wasn't even close, but he was second. Robin Yount, started at 18, so that kind of makes sense. But Ichiro Suzuki had to start over, being in Japan for a few years, and had to come over here and start over. He had 0 at age 26. Came over here and got 3,000 hits anyways. Really, really interesting graphic right there. Mickey Mantle, spring training 1951. He was playing for the Class C Joplin Miners, but he hit 383 with 26 home runs, 136 RBIs. He hit 402 in the spring, including a 500-foot home run. He made the team, and we all know that. But I happen to have a card of this 1950 Joplin Miners. There's the Mick with Joplin in cardboard form on this Monarch Corona card. Joplin, minor league, Mickey Mantle. But yeah, it was good. And if he didn't get hurt, who knows? Here's a good one. Ty Cobb could have gone 0 for 2,529 at-bats, and he would still be a 300 career hitter. Yeah, Ty Cobb was pretty good. Shout out to my man, Keith Lonely Basement. This is one of my favorite graphics of all time. I saw it again, and I had to include it. Don Mattingly never hit a grand slam any time in his whole career, but he set the all-time record with 6 grand slams in 1987. He never hit one before. He set the record in 87. He never hit one again. That is the craziest thing ever. Like Milo Hamilton used to say, baseball is the most unpredictable game in the world, and it totally is. Who was the last pitcher to throw 100 strikes in a game? Not 100 pitches, 100 strikes. The last pitcher to throw 100 strikes in a game, 2002, Randy Johnson. That is interesting. And we'll leave it with this one before we start looking at the cards. 1976, Lou Piniella to George Steinbrenner. Jesus Christ had long hair and a beard. Why can't we? Steinbrenner, see that pond? Walk across it and you can wear your hair and beard as long as you want. You gotta love the boss, man. You gotta love the boss. What a guy. That is too funny. So that is some really, really cool stuff. Great photos, facts, trivia. I love that kind of thing. It's so fun to learn about baseball and to remember all this stuff and see all kinds of cool things regarding facts in the totally unpredictable game of baseball. So now let's look at some cards. I got 10 cards here of some really interesting fellas you probably never heard of, but they did one-of-a-kind type of things. Super, super cool stuff. I love this kind of stuff. I just wanted to share it with you because I just absolutely love it, and I thought it might be fun for you guys as well. Here is an X-Fractor 2002, Mark Kiger. Probably never heard of him. This is the only player in Major League history, 20,000 players, the only player to only play in the postseason. He made his debut in the postseason, and he never got back up to the majors the next year or ever again. Out of everybody ever. There have been players that, because of injuries and so forth, have made their debut in the postseason, but Mark Kiger is the only guy ever, to this day, to only play in the postseason, in the playoffs, and never a regular season game. How about that? That is some craziness. How about Brandon Finnegan? Here's another card. Here's an autographed sticker card. Some sterling action there. What did Brandon Finnegan do? Well, he's the only player to win the College World Series and the Major League Baseball World Series in the same year. I believe he did it in 2014. No one's ever won the College World Series and then immediately won the World Series. This one is super interesting. How about the only switch pitcher in the major leagues? Now, I didn't get a major league card because this card shows him throwing with both arms. So it's a Verizon Wireless. It's a multi-ad sports card sponsored by Verizon Wireless. And he would pitch in the majors, but when he came up, they had to create the Pat Venditti rule because Pat Venditti would throw with both. And they had to make a rule when there was a switch hitter coming up, what to do. So the new rule is that the pitcher had to commit which arm he was going to throw with before the switch hitter decided. So the hitter gets the advantage. Pat Venditti creating a new major league rule. The Pat Venditti rule, just because he could throw Heat major league quality pitches with both hands. Unbelievable. This guy here, here's a rookie card of Walter Young. Walter Young is the biggest man ever to play Major League Baseball. This card lists him as 6'5", 320. He actually was heavier than that at some points. I don't know exactly where he peaked out, but that is the biggest, heaviest guy ever to play Major League Baseball. Speaking of size, we got some interesting ones here. Now, you know, Randy Johnson was 6'10". I am 6'6", so I'm considered tall. I don't think about it until I go meet people, and immediately the first thing is, how tall are you and did you play basketball? That's, that's what everybody asks. But Randy Johnson was 6'10". He was not the tallest major leaguer ever, however. There are two guys that were taller. Two guys that were 6'11". Here is an autograph, Bowman's Best, of John Roush. He was 6'11" in the major leagues. Beautiful card, by the way. Nice signature. That's one of the two guys ever to be 6'11" in the major leagues, taller than Randy Johnson. And then Sean Jelly. He was also 6'11". Really nice looking card there. Autograph on card again. Sean Jelly, 6'11". Super, super tall pitcher. One of only two guys ever to be 6'11" and be the tallest guys ever, right next to the largest man ever to play. But they're not the tallest professional baseball player ever. There's a guy named Loek van Mil. He's a Dutch guy, the tallest pro player ever. He did get a Major League Baseball card, but he never made it. So he only played in other countries, in other leagues, and in the minor leagues for America. But here is his Twins first Bowman Chrome X-Fractor autograph. And you can see he writes Loek van Mil, although this is an early card, so it still has his full name, Lodewickus van Mil. But he goes by Loek, or he went by Loek van Mil. But he was 7'1". I really wish he would have made it to the majors, at least for a cup of coffee. Look at that beautiful card. Just so he would be by far the tallest guy would be super cool, but he is the tallest professional baseball player ever. But now I have to be Paul Harvey and tell you the rest of the story, because it didn't end there. Unfortunately, I will read you this, but he was in Australia and he went bushwhacking without his teammates, and during the hike he slipped and hit his head on the rocks. He was unconscious for approximately 24 hours. Kangaroos woke him up. He attracted the attention of another hiker who drove him to the hospital. He had 14 fractures, a ruptured eardrum, and a bleeding on the brain. He was cleared to return to baseball in 2019, so that did not kill him. But Van Mil, in 28th of July 2019, with a statement from the Royal Netherlands Baseball and Softball Federation, they attributed his death to a fatal accident. I don't know what that was, but for a guy to have two basically fatal, near fatal, and one fatal accident, 1 week earlier he had announced his retirement from baseball to focus on his recovery. So I don't know if he ended up dying from complications from that original accident or what. It seems quite mysterious, but that is your tallest man ever in professional baseball at 7'1". And unfortunately, he met an unfortunate demise. So that is the rest of the story on Loek van Mil. Rest in peace, brother. All right, for all of you people that can't stand me because I'm not a heavy vintage guy, here is one for you. Richard, aka Dick Hall, 1955 Topps. That's a pretty good copy if you ask me. I think it's a pretty clean copy. Decently centered. okay corners. But why Dick Hall? You say he's a third base outfield. Well, he has a couple distinctions, but one is the main one I'm going to talk about today. But the first one I'll get out of the way. He was playing right field. And guess who they wanted to come up and play? That's right, Roberto Clemente. So to make room and keep him on the team and let Roberto Clemente come up and play right field, Dick Hall became a pitcher. He literally became a pitcher. But that's not what I was going to talk about. Dick Hall is the best control pitcher in the history of the planet. You think Greg Maddux or someone like that is? Nope. Dick Hall became a pitcher after not being a pitcher, and he's the greatest control pitcher in the history of the major leagues. He threw over 5,000 batters. He threw to 5,000 plus batters and had one wild pitch. One wild pitch, like 5,300 batters. Greg Maddux, super control guy. I thought he was the greatest control pitcher ever. He threw a wild pitch every 200 and something batters. 200 and something batters, he would have a wild pitch. Dick Hall over 5,000. The cool thing about it, he didn't throw that one until he was old. He had over 5,000 batters faced before he threw that wild pitch. So he ended up with 5,300, whatever it was, with one wild pitch. But if he'd have hung it up at 5,000, he would have had no wild pitches. But it took him over 5,000 batters faced before he threw one wild pitch. And Greg Maddux did it every 200 and something batters. That is just unbelievable. I love that kind of stuff. So there you go. Vintage baseball card, 1955 Topps, Dick Hall. You gotta love it. Two more. This guy hit the longest StatCast modern day home run in professional baseball. No, it was not in the major leagues, but it was in the minor leagues. The cool thing is, you can see it on YouTube. You can watch the swing. The problem is the cameraman had no idea where it was going to land, and you did not follow it properly. You cannot see anywhere near where this ball landed, but it was forever, this ball. You can see it on YouTube, luckily, at least the swing. But Joey Meyer, the longest modern day home run, the longest recorded home run, period, in professional baseball was by that man, Joey Meyer. Now, he doesn't have a really special rookie card, being an 87 rookie guy, so I got an autographed one. I think it's cool. Obviously, I got several autographed cards of a lot of these unique individuals. But Joey Meyer, mega power, the longest home run ever recorded was hit by that guy. How about that for some trivia? But you can watch the swing on YouTube. It's super cool. You just can't see where it landed. Speaking of super cool, this is probably my favorite record in the whole thing. But this guy here, man, this record will never be broken. We talk about records that won't be broken, but you probably don't know this guy. Mike Hessman. What did Mike Hessman do? He has an all-time home run record. Now, the reason this thing is so impossible and it will never be broken is because you have to be so good to do this, but yet not good enough for major league teams to want to keep you on the roster. It's impossible. He has the all-time minor league baseball home run record. You say how many? A couple hundred? No. He had 433 home runs in the minor leagues. The guy that had 432 played 100 years ago. So it doesn't almost even count, but he did beat him. So this guy has the most ever. He hit 14 long balls in the majors, so he had his cup of coffee here and there. He was with 3 major league teams from 2003 to 2010. But on August 3rd, 2015, he hit shot number 433 and broke a tie with Buzz Arlett who played from 1918 to 1937. The 37-year-old Hessman had the 14 long balls in the majors, but 433 in the minor leagues. That'll never be broken. Anybody that's that good and can hit almost 500 home run club and never make it long term in the majors, that'll never happen. This is the Minor Miracles Topps Heritage card, and it's not only autographed by Hessman, he inscribed it 433. I think it's the only one I've seen like that. That is a super cool card. 433 minor league home runs, an almost unbreakable record. Minor Miracles, minor league home run masher, Mike Hessman. That is super, super cool. And that one is autographed and inscribed with the 433. So there you have it, guys. Over 30 minutes now, but just having tons of fun talking about baseball, looking at all kinds of cool facts and trivia and cards and interesting players. It's just my kind of thing. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please let me know. Thank you for all your subs, and thank you for all the kind comments, and thank you for all the thumbs up and likes and everything you do for me and the community. And we will catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.